Shang-Chi star Simu Liu likes a comment criticizing Marvel Studios' lack of progress on the sequel. This is Josh Wilding from Comic Book Movie reporting. Despite being released when moviegoers were still wary about heading into theaters, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings still grossed an impressive $432.2 million in 2021. 3 years on, we're still waiting to see Shang-Chi in action again. There was a period when it looked like the character would be the central focus of the multiversal saga, as he was reportedly being lined up to take center stage in Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. A movie was expected at Marvel Studios to announce at 2022's San Diego Comic-Con, and Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Plans have since changed, and Shang-Chi's rings likely no longer have ties to Kang. Still, that's an easy retcon when they hail from the Kakaranthara, the home of Fin Fang Foom in the comics. Rumor has it Shang-Chi will be a central character in Avengers Doomsday, though work on the sequel has completely stalled now. Filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton has moved on to Spider-Man 4. That's not coming out until 2026, so there's no way Shang-Chi 2 is getting here before 2028 or 2029, assuming he still plans to direct. Today, Simu Liu is receiving quite a bit of attention on social media for liking a comment from a fan who expressed frustration at the lack of progress on the follow-up. You see here that Simu Liu liked this TikTok comment calling out Marvel Studios for not making a Shang-Chi 2 sooner. He is, Marvel, you did you dirty by not making a sequel within a sequel writhing 3 years ago. Oh, okay. Well, that was poor grammar, but I see, obviously, right there's Simu liking that. Now, we wouldn't read too much into this, as he's likely just grateful for the support. However, it would be easy enough to understand if Liu is fed up with being sidelined after Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was hailed by many as one of the best MCU movies to date. It's unfortunate, but Marvel Studios' pivot away from Kang is likely why Shang-Chi is on ice. Both the Ten Rings and Miss Marvel's bangles were expected to have ties to the villain, with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania making use of ring imagery for the Conqueror's time travel technology in the quantum realm. With any luck, Doomsday and Avengers: Secret Wars can put the spotlight back on the master of martial arts. Oh man, I don't know, to be honest. Liu said earlier this year after being asked when Shang-Chi is likely to make his MCU return. I mean, those things are so far above my pay grade. I just want to continue to be a fan of it. When I get a call like, hey, this is what you're in, and this is where you're going to show up, and this is when you're going to be needed to be blacked out for. That's kind of generally what tends to happen. But, Destin is such a special filmmaker, and we're very happy to have him on the sequel. So he'll be working on that, and we're really excited to see what he comes up with. I think he's going to do a brilliant job. There's a lot of ideas that we had in the opener, and some of those ideas are planted as questions by the end of our movie. There are things that we potentially want to explore in the future, the Barbie star continued. Everything changes so much, so it's hard to say how many of those ideas will actually make it to the finish line, but there are many of them there. Oh, right. Yeah, man, I don't get it. I understand that you had a situation where, since you got rid of Kang and all that, and you were moving in that direction, that you kind of feel like you needed to reshape how this is going to work, but I don't think it was smart to bench essentially one of the more successful characters and or budding movie franchises in the MCU, just because you are doing some weird pivot one way or the other. Now, mind you, the ship needed to be righted, but this is one of the few things that actually worked. I don't understand why you don't take the thing that works and run with it. Now, I understand that you decided you needed Destin on both Spider-Man and on Doomsday, but I gotta feel like you gotta strike while the iron's hot. You're gonna get to a point where nobody's gonna necessarily care if you wait too long, which is kind of crazy. On top of the fact that, you have Simu in a role that requires so much action, and in a lot of ways more so than some of the other heroes, because a lot of the other heroes are very green screened up. It's not to say that if you wait for a little bit that Simu's just going to magically just be hella old, but you are wasting prime years of him being in this age, his body at his peak, all that kind of stuff. Obviously you'll pay him to stay in shape, but there's a reason why you sign actors in their mid-20s to mid-30s to take these roles on for a decade. It's because that is prime real estate to have them either partaking in the action themselves or at least looking the part that makes sense. Once he starts to get into his 40s and 50s, he can still do plenty of martial arts films. I mean, look at Jet Li, look at Jackie Chan. Chow Yun-fat. There's plenty of older martial artists that are still making good movies and all that kind of stuff. But the idea of playing the superhero and the superhero being in their prime, that will eventually go away. Now, again, Black Don't Crack, Yellow Don't Mellow, all that kind of stuff. Simu's got plenty of years as far as the look of it. But again, you are just wasting time. That's the part that's wild to me, is you are wasting time. If you were going to get Robert Downey Jr. as far as all that goes and everything to come back as Dr. Doom, clearly that's not an action piece for him where he's having to do all sorts of crazy stunts just because he'll probably be in a mask or whatever. So it'll always be somebody else that's there. Or when you do see his face, I doubt that he's out here doing any sort of crazy martial arts stuff. So it seems like a waste. And again, it is a property that works. It is something that was unique and special, and it works. So to be taking this long just seems like a massive mistake. But that's me. Do you agree with that? Or you're like, no, let them cook. Clearly they want to take their time with it. They'll do something around. They'll swing back around. Leave it alone. Let me know what you think in the comments, man.